if you take away all the SATs and AP tests, who's going to pay your bills, College Board?
Oh, that's not.
In the sense that was hard to say, so I'm sure that was probably hard to watch, and some of you may not even know what video I'm referencing, but that's okay. That's not the point of this video. I feel like for most people, studying is one, boring, and two, you just don't know where to start because it just feels so overwhelming to have to study. And also the fact that you don't want to spend hours upon hours studying for a test that's worth who knows how much of your grade, 20%, 5%, or a quiz. It doesn't matter. The point is you don't like studying. Most people don't. I know I don't. But the good news is, and it's probably the reason you clicked this video, I'm going to tell you how I study personally to keep my good grades and not be bored as... Can you tell I don't have a script for this? But lucky for you, I have some tips on how to study and keep up good grades without having to spend a lot of time and energy doing it. So let's get into the video. So this is going to be a general overview on how to study. I won't get too into specifics of like each subject, but just an overview of how you can study for anything and apply it to any subject that you take. So there are 4 main methods that I use to study, including first, writing down the large concept questions. Like I know AP history tests, I've only taken AP history by the way, but for AP history tests, they give you those topic pages and each of them has like, they either have the topic question or the topics of the unit. So you want to write those down. And if you're not taking an AP test, this applies to anything. So if you're taking like biology, just writing down the big concepts of the unit. Don't go into specifics, like if you're just learning about macromolecules, just write down proteins, carbohydrates, lipids, and oh my god, I'm literally taking biology right now, but it's nucleus, something about a nucleus, something, nucleotide, I don't think it's that, but it's something. That's concerning. It probably means I do need to study, which I will be doing after this video. Here's an example of one of the AP US history topic pages. Here's an example of how I do my biology unit concepts. And math is a little more complicated because it's memorization based, which I'll go more into detail in a later step. So just write down the large concepts so that you can use it for this next method that I use, which is blurting. So you're going to take those big concepts and you're going to look at them and you're going to say everything that comes to your mind when you hear that. So like I said, if you hear macromolecules, talk about all the 4 major ones, the bonds of each one, etc., right? So you're going to blurt that all down and you're going to want to have your notes next to you. But don't look at the notes. Okay, so you're going to do one topic, blurt as much as you can, pretend like you're teaching it to someone or explaining it to someone who has no idea about the topic that you're studying. An example of this would be the following. With the large diversity of organisms across the planet, scientists have resorted to, I can't quite remember that part, in order to organize and categorize life. Specifically, blank uses 8 levels of classification ranging from species, which is most specific, and something else, which is least specific. Doing so allows for, and I can't remember that, so I'll have to go back to my notes and look it up. So the point of blurting is to, I know everyone's heard it probably by now, but it's really a good study method, and I know I was annoyed when I used to watch like how to study videos and it'd be like blurting, but it really is that good of a method, so I think people should use it. So once you've talked about all that you can about that unit, you're going to look at your notes and you're going to see what you missed or what you were confused about or you couldn't explain as well. And so you're going to read over your notes, take a break, and then in a little while after you blurted for each topic in that unit, you'll redo it and try again. And that leads me to my next point, which is the traffic light method. So you're going to have 3 categories for the units. So just take one unit, right? And let's say you have 5 topics in the unit that you need to know. You're either going to categorize it by red, yellow, or green. Green means you know it so well, you really don't need to study this as much. Yellow means I kind of got it, but I do need a little more time to memorize it, like to heart. I don't know what that was, but to memorize it to heart. And then red is I do not understand this at all. I can't remember this at all. And if that's you, that's what you really want to focus on. You want to focus on red and focus on yellow. And green is really towards the end, towards the test, so you can just refresh it in your brain. But the point is you already know green, so you don't need to focus on it as much as red or yellow. Right, so for red and yellow topics, personally, I'm a visual learner. Well, I would say I'm a visual learner, but also auditory, so I need both at the same time if possible. So for things I don't understand, I like to watch videos until I do understand them. Like for biology, I'll watch videos on macromolecules. Can you tell that's the subject that I struggle with the most, and I don't know why. But just watch videos, that's what I do on topics that I really do not understand. And yeah. And then the last major thing that I do when studying is practice tests, which this is something you should take note of as soon as you start a unit, because typically within each unit they're going to give you quizzes, or probably at least one quiz. What you're going to do is write down the questions from your quizzes or even your assignments, and also write down the answers for those, and you're going to use those as your practice test questions. If you don't have any content that you can use to make practice tests, you can always use ChatGPT and ask it to make a practice test for you, or you can also use Gizmo.ai. If you ever feel like you're studying so much yet you're not remembering anything you're studying, it could be for a couple of reasons. For one, your memorization system might not be working for you. You could try implementing Mind Palace, which, to summarize shortly, basically you imagine a room. It could be a real life room or a room that you've just made up, but in that room there's going to be objects, and you assign different concepts, definitions, vocabulary, and etc. to each object in the room, so that on the day of the test, when you're struggling with the question, you just think back to that room, and hopefully you can remember what item it was associated with. This mainly works for people with photographic memory, but yeah. You could also try using mnemonics. For example, PEMDAS, we all know her, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Another reason you may not be remembering things is you don't actually understand the content. A good test for this is if you're able to explain it in your own words. And if you're not, that means you probably don't know the content as well as you think you do. The only way to really fix this is to go back to the basics and relearn the content. Sometimes I like to ask ChatGPT to explain it like I'm 5, which is what ELI5 stands for, if you didn't know. To understand the content better, I also like to prime before class, which basically means I just watch videos about the content before we even learn it in class, so that when we do get to that topic, I can at least have some kind of basic understanding. And I do this for subjects I'm especially bad at, biology. The last reason you may not be remembering things is because you aren't learning in a style that suits you. You could be a visual learner, meaning that you learn better through visuals and with your eyes. You could be an auditory learner, meaning you learn better by listening. Kinesthetics, meaning it's more of a hands-on approach, you like applying the things that you learn. And reading and writing is you like seeing things in words, written form. I'm actually going to link an article about the different types of learners down below if you're interested. And how to avoid burnout. For one, you really need to take productive breaks, which means no social media. For me personally, I feel like scrolling through social media is more draining than just doing nothing at all, as much as I want to convince myself that it's not. But you also shouldn't do anything that works your brain too hard. So unless you really enjoy reading, I really wouldn't recommend that either. Examples of productive breaks would be taking a nap, having a snack, walking outside, exercising or stretching, or even meditation, especially for headaches. They are so godsend, I'm not gonna lie to you. You really should just turn off your phone in general to avoid temptation. For one, you don't want to be distracted, and also, you're gonna be more likely to be bored if you are thinking, oh, I could be on my phone right now instead of studying. You may also want to try different methods of studying, such as the 50, 30, 20, 10 method, pause to read. You could also try the Pomodoro method. Instead of working for hours straight, you usually set a timer for 25 minutes and then a 5-minute break, and then repeat that 4 times. Although personally, I kind of like setting a 70-minute work timer and then 15-minute break. That works better for me because I feel like 25 minutes is not enough time to get into the zone, I guess. It can also be nice to switch up the scenery and create a good/fun study environment. Instead of just the basic rules like, oh, be somewhere quiet, with nice lighting, no distractions, I think it's fun to create different study moods, which leads me to my next point. If you find studying really boring, then you can spice it up by creating different study moods and aesthetics, and maybe even getting into character to make it even just a little more fun. I feel like this study mood is best for nighttime, whether you're pulling an all-nighter or you just feel like you're best when you work at night. Turning off the big light and turning on your accent lights, working on the floor, and having just a little bit of chaos can be kind of fun. Or maybe you prefer a cozy nook with a more relaxing atmosphere by lighting some candles, having warm lighting, drinking coffee at your desk. Maybe being relaxed is all you need to put you in the right mood to study. If neither of those work for you, maybe try moving to the kitchen and working at the counter. Drinking a refreshing smoothie, opening the windows and letting the natural light in. I don't know about you, but I'm already feeling more inspired to study. And if that's still not enough for you, maybe you need to go outside and get some real sunlight. You can lay out a towel, bring your sunglasses and sunscreen, bring some snacks, and bonus points for a cat. And yeah, that's it for this video. I know that studying is different person to person, so not all these tips may be helpful for you, but hopefully you can take at least one thing away and apply it to make studying a little less of a chore and more of something that you can look forward to or at least tolerate. I know for me the whole study mood thing was a game changer, and it really motivated me to study because it became a kind of fun thing to do because I kind of got into like a character or whatever. But thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe down below, and bye!